Allowing celebrities to get away with breaking drug laws sends the wrong message to young people. That's the conclusion of a United Nations report out today. And in the House of Commons, the Prime Minister has echoed those sentiments.
It is very important when there are celebrities and role models for young people that they send out the proper messages. Some of our role models and celebrities send out the right message about the damage of drugs. But I hope those people who take a casual attitude to drugs will think again and remember the message as celebrities they're sending out to young people in our country.
Well, let's look now at a few of the stars famed for flying high. Sasha is on the news wall.
Thanks, Anna. Well, let's start with Pete Doherty. He was caught last year with crack, cocaine, heroin, ketamine and cannabis, but he escaped jail. His one-time girlfriend, Kate Moss, was accused of snorting cocaine in 2005, but no charges. Even though there's a video that appears to show Amy Winehouse snorting crack cocaine, she has never been charged. And despite Noel Gallagher's stories of waking up and having a can of Red Stripe and a line of Charlie, he's never been done for drugs. But the rock and roll granddaddies of them all, the Rolling Stones. After years of heroin addiction in 2006, Keith Richards said he's quit drugs because they're just not strong enough anymore.
Well, do famous people who are hooked get off the hook too easily? Are we soft on celebrity druggies? Dan Butcher is a former addict who set up an online and TV support group, the Recovery Network. He's here with me. And Rob Fitzpatrick is the associate editor of the Word magazine. Dan, starting with you, you think celebs get off too lightly. What's the problem with that?
Well, I think they often think that they're above the law, and obviously they've got some influential fan base that see them as role models and too often can copy and mimic what they see as fashionable and cool.
Dan, what about you? I know you disagree with that. Should we not be putting celebrities who are found with drugs, off the hook?
I don't know if anybody really does look at these people and think that they're role models. I mean, does anybody really look at Pete Doherty and think that's my role model? Is that even what he's there for? Where I think that he has his own troubles, he has his own travels that he goes down, but I don't think that this idea of sort of young people's role models is necessarily one that actually really stands up.
Well, that's not true, is it? Celebs influence their fans in a number of ways, be it clothes, be it style, be it their drug use. How can you possibly say they have no influence on their fans?
No, they do have an influence, but there's a difference between having an influence and saying, right, these are young people's role models, and therefore these role models must behave in a way that is being sanctioned by the government. I mean, there's lots and lots of different ways that people can behave, and you can look at lots of different people for your role models rather than pick particular ones like Pete Doherty.
Dan, why put the onus on celebrities? They don't become famous in order to be good role models, do they?
No, I think quite obviously there are an enormous amount of people that look up to these pop stars and whatever, and there's such a thing as almost fame addiction, and these kids do want to emulate whatever you say. They do want to emulate the style and what they get up to, and if you see someone like Amy Winehouse or Pete Doherty with a very flourishing career who is publicly known to be doing drugs, then that's seen as almost acceptable to youngsters that are watching these kids. Pop stars. Yeah,
you're a self-confessed, or you were a self-confessed drug addict. Was it because you saw famous people taking drugs that seemed cool to you that you began in the first place, or not?
It was a mixture of things, really. In the days when I started taking drugs in the early 90s, it was almost in vogue to be in a flash nightclub with champagne and cocaine in your pocket. And I think, yeah, it's influenced by you see a movie, you see them doing it in movies, you see pop stars doing it, so why not give it a go? They seem like they're having fun, but that fun very quickly runs out. The progression of addiction grabs hold of you very, very quickly indeed, and what started for me as a social thing just once a month ended up as a 6 to 8 gram habit every single day of the week, and that just destroys you and everyone around you, and these celebrities have to understand that their addictions aren't just affecting them, they're affecting their fan base as well. And to some degree, the fans are enabling these celebrities to carry on with their addictions without seeking help, because they see it as they're buying their records, their fans like what they see, and that includes the drug taking, so why would I want to stop anyway? Why do I need help?
Rob Fitzpatrick, if it's not the sight of celebrities taking drugs which encourages people to start or to take them, what is it in your view? Is it availability? Is it peer pressure? What are the other factors?
Well, there is availability, there is peer pressure, but there's also people have taken drugs and drunk too much and used lots and lots of things to change their mental state from the beginning of human history. So I think that to suggest that someone watching Amy Winehouse smoke crack is in somehow would make them want to do it. I just don't think that. I don't think that's actually true. I think in a way you could almost argue that this sort of relentless focus on people taking drugs actually ends up showing a lot of their own downfalls and could actually put people off it.
But at the very least, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, my point actually there is that if these people are seen to be going to court over being caught with possession or publicly caught using drugs, what sort of signal does it give out if they're just let off? Because the kids that are trying drugs, maybe not because they're just watching a celebrity using drugs, but they attempt to use drugs because there seems to be no deterrent. If I get caught, I'm going to get let off anyway.
Rob?
But I mean, I think the deterrent is part. I mean, you do see Pete Doherty. I think there's an argument that would say Pete Doherty has been let off too many times. I think most people would agree that there has been too much. We've all seen the guy outside court too many times with a silly hat on, with a fag stuffed in his gob, and you just don't want to see that anymore. But you have to look at this in the sense that these are the latest people in an endless, unending sort of cinematic list of people who have been taking drugs from the beginning of time. And if it wasn't Pete and Amy and allegedly Kate Moss and everyone else, it would be, it's Robert Mitchum, or it's Keith Richards, or it's, John Lennon, or it's, it's the same argument that goes on year after year after year after year after year.
How should Kate Moss, how should Pete Doherty have been dealt with, really, to send out a different signal?
Well, I think definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, somebody like Pete Doherty, who's a repeat offender, should have a more severe sentence, and it should either be a sentence where he actually goes to prison, because addicts need to hit their rock bottom. Pete hasn't had his rock bottom, obviously, he's continuing to use, but unless they're given something as a wake-up call, then they're never going to stop. As an addict, you cannot stop unless you hit your rock bottom, and I think a prison sentence for some of these people would help. But failing that, certainly their management should intervene and stop them performing until they seek help. The court should order them, as they did with Pete, to go and get treatment, so that the people sort of watching in the public eye see that you do in fact need help. It is an illness. I'm not saying Pete and Amy are bad people. They're actually ill. They need help.
OK, and prison might help them hit rock bottom, as you say. I'm sorry, Rob, we've run out of time. Rob Fitzpatrick from the Word Magazine and Dan Butcher from the Recovery Network. Thank you both very much indeed. Thank you.